This is Too Many Leprechauns, or How That Pot of Gold Got to the End of the Rainbow. And it's by Stephen Krensky, illustrated by Dan Andreessen. Finn O'Finnigan looked like a rogue and walked like a rascal, so it was widely thought that he was at least one or the other, and his shadow, which followed him closely and knew all of his secrets, might have said he was both. So he was kind of a troublemaker. But when Finn returned home to Dingle after a year in Dublin, he was only looking to rest his feet and grow fat on his mother's soda bread. The village looked much as he had left it, the stone walls a bit wobbly, the houses leaning into the wind, and yet something was clearly amiss. At his own house, Finn was surprised to find his mother cleaning up broken dishes with a broom. Mrs. O'Finnigan let out a great yawn. "So here you are, Finn, and it would be glorious to see you if only I could keep my eyes open. But the leprechauns are everywhere, making fairy shoes with that infernal tapping, and none of us have slept in weeks." At that moment, Finn heard a steady tap, tap, tap in the yard. He stepped outside to investigate. In the garden, a leprechaun named Daub was hard at work. Tap, 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 tap. "Good day," said Finn. Daub scowled at him. "It's a busy day, to be sure. The more shoes I make for the fairies, the more gold I get. And nothing is more important than gold." Now Finn had some experience with leprechauns, and he chose his words carefully. "A wise outlook. If I'm not mistaken, though, you may have missed a stitch." Daub dropped his hammer. "Missed a stitch?" He wagged a finger at Finn. "Fancy yourself as an expert, do you? Come with me." So he's kind of mad that Finn was criticizing him and saying that he missed a stitch on the shoe. That made him mad. Daub led the way to a second leprechaun named Waddle. He too was making shoes, a dainty pair with silk flowers lining the sides. "What say you to these?" asked Daub. "Has Waddle missed a stitch too?" Finn rubbed his chin. "Well, his shoes are fine, assuming they'll only be worn in the dark." "In the dark?" cried Waddle. "Where no one could see them," Finn explained. Both leprechauns turned a deep shade of red. They are furious. They are mad with Finn. He's saying their shoes are no good. I wonder what his plan is, what he's thinking. The next day, Daub dragged Finn to 3 more leprechauns, and to 4 more the day after that. By week's end, Finn had seen shoes of every size and style, and for each fault, flaw, or defect that he mentioned, the angrier the leprechauns became. So he was finding all the bad things about their shoes, and they were getting angrier and angrier. He must have a plan. Maybe he's trying to help people so that they can go to sleep and not hear all the tap, tap, tapping. I wonder what his plan is. "Leprechauns are sensitive," Finn observed to his mother. "And greedy too," she added. "But don't put my heart crossways by taking too many chances." There was a knock at the door from Daub. "You're just in time for tea," said Finn. Daub snorted. "It's not tea I'm after. It's you. Follow me." Daub led the way to a field where all of the leprechauns stood waiting. As Finn approached, they moved back slowly to reveal a great pile of gold. "We hardly could have gained all of this," said Dob, "if our shoes were not the finest of their kind." So he's saying, we couldn't have earned all this gold if we didn't have the best shoes. "Impressive," said Finn. He could see that the leprechauns loved their gold dearly. So dearly that it just might be their undoing. "Perhaps," Finn went on, "if I saw all your shoes together, I might change my mind." Yes, yes, the leprechauns agreed. They were sure that would make all the difference. "Tomorrow morning we will bring the shoes to the village square," they promised. Finn nodded. "I'll be counting on it," he said. He's going to trick them. But I wonder how. A gray dawn greeted the leprechauns as they arrived with their carts, barrows, sacks, and bundles. The shoes were unpacked and laid out with care. Soon everything was ready, but while the leprechauns were there and the shoes were there, Finn was not. The leprechauns waited and waited. I wonder what Finn is going to do. I wonder if he's going to steal their gold. The sky cleared before Finn finally appeared. "Sorry I'm late," he said, although he didn't sound sorry at all. Finn marched up and down the street, and some shoes he stopped to point in astonishment. "Ah! Oh!" And others he simply clapped in delight. "A very impressive sight," he said finally. "I can see why you were proud of your treasure." Dob frowned. "We're proud," he repeated. "Are we not still proud of our gold?" "Well, you could be," said Finn, "if your gold hadn't suddenly disappeared." The leprechauns turned pale. Disappeared? Such a thing was beyond imagining. Still, it might be best to make sure. Empty. They found the field empty. "It must be here somewhere," Dob insisted. The leprechauns looked everywhere, behind hedges, under rocks, even in the trees. All night and into the dawn they searched through Dingle, their lanterns flickering like fireflies in the darkness. But it did them no good. All of their fairy gold, every last coin and nugget, was gone. In the morning, when the mist still lay heavy on the air, the leprechauns came pounding on Finn's door. "What have you done with our gold?" Dob demanded. Finn shrugged. "All is not lost, only safely tucked away. I'll make you a bargain." That means he's saying, "I'll make you a deal. If you promise to leave Dingle and never trouble us again, I'll return your gold." It pained the leprechauns to admit defeat, but not as much as it would have hurt them to lose their gold forever. So they didn't want to agree to the deal, but they had to, because they didn't want to lose their gold. Reluctantly, they agreed to his terms. "Then we'd best be moving along," said Finn, looking up at the clearing sky. He led them back to the empty field. At that moment the sun came out and a rainbow fell from the sky, and there, where the rainbow met the grass, a great pile of gold suddenly appeared. The leprechauns stamped their feet. "You moved our gold to the end of the rainbow, and when the rainbow vanished, so did our gold." "Indeed," said Finn, "for it is fairy gold, as you told me, and fairies often use rainbows to move their gold about." "You tricked us," said Dob. Finn held up a hand. "The rainbow is back, and so is your treasure. Take it in peace while the rainbow holds, and remember our bargain." So he's saying, remember the deal. You're going to leave Dingle, take your gold while the rainbow's still there. Finn then went home to his mother, who, after a good night's sleep, baked him more loaves of soda bread than ever he could eat. As for the leprechauns, they were heard grumbling at times about how Finn had outwitted them. Yet they were secretly pleased as well, for if the truth be told, they've kept their gold at the end of the rainbow ever since. The end.